Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Diatonic Dissection, where we crack open music to see what makes it tick. This week, we're looking at the stage with music as funky as the colour palette, Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2. Do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and handle salmon in a suspicious manner in the name of the algorithm gods. If you want the sheet music for this video, as well as all my others for free, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Diatonic Dissection. There is a link down below to save you trying to spell it. Anyway, let's get into it. The tempo is 130 BPM, and the key is F sharp minor. As always, we will start with the chords and then go into the individual parts. Quick note, this video has 4 sections, but many of the parts are repeated. There are only 4 chords throughout all of Chemical Plant Zone, and they are F sharp minor, G sharp, E, and D sharp minor. In section A, there is no main melody, so the chords will be presented alongside the extra melody parts. As per usual, what I've labelled as a counterpoint isn't strictly a counterpoint. It feels a bit like this based on the F sharp minor pentatonic, but it involves a D sharp which is not part of it, so let's just forget that. The part involves a lot of octave jumps, so it will take a bit of getting used to the mechanics of the part on both guitar and piano. The first 2 extra melody parts make up the chords, and as they're playing the same rhythm, they can both be played at the same time on an instrument, but if you're doing it on guitar, it'll sound a bit too muddy to properly illustrate the parts, due to enharmonic distortion. There is a third extra melody part which consists of primarily short bursts of notes. The bass part is fairly simple, but it's slightly more complicated if you're playing in drop A tuning like I am, as you need to drop from fret 2 to 6. However, if you're not an idiot like me, you could just play an E-flat tuning to save you the trouble. If you listen closely to the bass part, you may realise that with the same notes and a slightly tweaked rhythm, you get the introduction to Dolly Parton's classic Working 9 to 5. Now, if you've watched any of these videos before, you'll realise that I am about to commit sacrilege against Our Lady of Country Music. The drum part is very similar to Emerald Hill Zone, with the 8th and 16th notes on the hi-hat, but with more kick and snare work. As always with these kinds of parts, the rubber parts do not make it easy. Here is section A altogether. section B it's the same chords as before: F sharp minor, G sharp, E and D sharp minor. The main melody is the absolute highlight of this track, and it is surprisingly complicated as it involves arpeggios in some sections and pentatonics in others. For this, I used a quick sweep for the arpeggio as I'm playing it on guitar. Outside of the arpeggio, the rest of the main melody for section B is fairly simple. The counterpoint and extra melody parts are the same for sections A through C, with the exception of melody 3 only being in sections A and B. As a result, here are the clips just all together. The bass part for section B is the same as section A, so I've got nothing to add. The drums for section B are pretty much the same as section A, except there is a quick fill at the end. Here is section B altogether. The chords are the same again for section C. Interestingly, the melody for section C is almost a mirror of section B's main melody, with the opening arpeggio from section B played backwards at the end of each block in C. Again, the counterpoint and extra melodies are repeats of section B, so nothing to add, except there is no extra melody 3 now. Section C's bass is a repeat of section B. Slightly different, the section C drums are a repeat of section A. Here is section C altogether. Now that I have somewhat atoned for my sins relating to Dolly Parton, it is time for more musical messing. I realise that with a bit of a change to the feel, Chemical Plant Zone suddenly becomes a very moody blues track. Now for section D, where things get to be very fun. The main melody is more complicated, and one of the extra melody parts is merged with the counterpoint. The chords are different too. You just have an ascending trio of chords, with the final one being held. The three chords being E major, F diminished, and F sharp minor. As I said earlier, the melody for section D is far more complicated / fun, depending on how you look at it. It involves a lot of pentatonics, and it took me quite a while to figure out where to start on upstrokes, etc., so it may take a bit of practice on guitar. It's still pretty hard on piano too, especially when you're as bad at it as I am. The counterpoint gets folded into one of the extra melody parts. The other extra melody parts are there just to emphasise the three ascending chords at the start of each cycle. So here are all the clips in order. The bass part initially does the same thing as the extra melody parts, filling out the chords, but there are some fills in between. The main thing to be careful of are the jumping octaves in bar 6. You'll see in the video that I tap them and then have to use my right thumb to pluck the open string, as it comes immediately after these jumps. The part closes with 16th notes on A and G sharp. drums are pretty much the same as they have been in previous sections, except the fill from section B is at the end of each 4-bar phrase. Here is section D all together. And that's it. Another short video, but we still managed to stretch a minute or so of music into several minutes of analysis. As always, leave a like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and pull a face at the Royal Guards in the name of the algorithm gods. If you want the sheet music for this video, as well as all my others for free, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Diatonic Dissection. There's a link down below to save you trying to spell it out. I hope that you've enjoyed the video if you're still here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!